Games Workshop kind of just announced, or the last few days, Armies on Parade for 2021, how it's going to work, the kind of way that it all's going to go together, and the kind of things that you can enter. It's going to be online again this year, so that has advantages and disadvantages. The advantage of it being online is that we don't have to transport anything places, so I don't have to take my board over to my local Games Workshop or anything, and it means you can maybe be a bit more ambitious. The downside is obviously you don't get to see the boards in person, and a lot of the character and stuff comes from seeing the boards in person, I think. And also another downside is that Armies on Parade is always a really great day at a Games Workshop. Like, there's a bunch of people who've brought stuff in, they've been working on it for months. Moving it to online you do miss out on a little bit of that, but it's probably for the best, and what it means is that I can start planning my Armies on Parade entry. So I'm going to do a series of videos on making this board, this army, whatever I decide to do, and this is going to be the first one. So probably just going to be planning out what I want to do for this one, taking a look at the stuff that I've got, the terrain, the armies, whatever, and deciding what direction I want to go in, and then we'll follow it along as the weeks and months go by. Have until the end of October to build this board. Okay, so and here's where I'm going to start planning out what I want to do for this year. So if we can see, so I ended up doing a Nighthorn army, which you may have seen in a previous video that I did. So let's try and come up with a similar plan for this year. So think about what armies, and I think this is a really important thing to do, is to think about what kind of armies you have, and what you can theoretically get done, and also what's going to look really great. So I've got, I think, 3 options for this year. So Ultramarines, because they're nearly done, and I think they'll look good. It's a striking colour scheme. Dwarves, again, because the army's already finished, and I just need to make the board. And then probably Cursed City is my third option. And I think here it's really cool, and the basing on these is done really well as well, where it's come out really nicely. It's kind of blue tinged earth with the purple flowers and like the dead grass. I think that looks really good. So maybe Cursed City, and I think if I did that I would obviously expand it, paint some more of the Soulblight Greybuild stuff that I have. It's quite, the downside to doing that one is that it's quite similar to the Nighthorn army that I did. It's quite similar to this. But maybe I could put the boards together after they're done, make a big gaming board. I'm coming down on doing Cursed City, you know? Coming down on doing Cursed City. Okay, so here I am with some stuff. Let's just light this up a bit. Amazing. Let's just light this up a bit more. Here we go. So I've got a sheet of MDF here that I'd probably use for the board. I haven't decided yet if we want to go, there's 2 options that you can go for on the size. You can do 24 by 24, which is what this board is now, and you can also do 22 by 30 inches, which is the same size as a Warcry board. So that would be this size. That would be this size, which is slightly bigger, I think, in terms of area, and I'm kind of leaning towards doing that. It means I have to like cut up this board and add a little bit of wood to the side, but I think that the slightly elongated, like not square look of this works. So let's use, I'm going to use this. So obviously a big source of inspiration if we're making an Ulfencorn board is going to be the Cursed City stuff, the board tiles. And so these are the tiles that I took inspiration from to make my bases. And so if we can recreate some like streets in kind of 3D, I think that would be quite cool. What I probably don't want to do is, obviously you've got insides as well. And I don't think I'm going to want to do insides. Obviously I have this graveyard terrain. Most of this stuff I did use for my Night on Armies on Parade, so I wouldn't want to reuse any of the stuff that was in that. And that's this stuff here. But anything that wasn't in that board, I could definitely use. Okay. So like the aesthetic of obviously, Curse City, blah. Got like maps and stuff in here. So that's Ulfenkhan. Okay, so this gives us some nice little flavor text for different parts of the city. And the thing that I'm immediately drawn to, because I have this graveyard scenery, is the corpse gardens. The charnel pits and graveyards overseen by Gorse have the gravekeeper. And so I'm kind of thinking maybe we do an outside area of the city that is still kind of cobbled. I still will try and make roads and stuff, but an area of the board could be a graveyard. So, hello. Let's see what we can make. Is an area, I think, over here, which is going to be the graveyard. I think one side of it would have to be like a foresty section, like the outskirts of, if you think of like the towns in the, like if you think of the towns in The Witcher, right? Especially the bigger ones, like was it Oxenfurt and whatever the capital city is. They're basically big walled towns. This is, I think, what Cursed City is going to be like, what Ulfenkhan is going to be like. They're big walled towns, but outside the walls, or sometimes even inside the walls, they're not all built up areas. It's not all like houses and flats and apartment blocks and shops and stuff. You know, you have parks, you have forested areas, especially like you might have churches and graveyards and stuff in this kind of city. And if we're looking at doing the area called the whatever it was, the grave gardens or whatever, we could mix in some of that. Kind of stuff, right? It doesn't have to be super all built up. It doesn't have to be loads of buildings and streets and stuff. It'll be nice, I think, to have one or two like proper houses or buildings, but let's just have a quick play. Here I've got some trees, and also I've got graveyard terrain that I didn't use. Oh, that one's painted. The graveyard terrain, and I've also got this little cool furnacing thing that I found. I think this is from a dwarf kit. I've also got up here some more fences, and I've got a set of the ruins from, I think, from Warcry. Kind of zone it out, right? Make the city into a few different zones, and we can use the fences and stuff to like demark each area, and then each area can be a bit different. I'm thinking I'll probably do a foresty zone, and so that'll be kind of up here. Forest / park. There, like that. Graveyard zone, obviously, because this is going to be a graveyard, and we'll have to try and somehow fence or wall that off. Obviously, I won't be using this quilting board. This is just for the size. This is just to figure out the size. There's kind of two other zones, and I'm probably going to use these ruins for one of the zones. Maybe here we can try and make a house or a ruin or something, and then this section can either just be like empty because it doesn't need to be too busy, or maybe I'll do a water feature there, maybe a pond or something. That says in the book. It says in the book there's a canal, and so maybe we could do a canal here through to this gate, and then here past the house I would make some cobbled roads, and maybe this way as well. I make some cobbled roads to tie back to those tiles, and those would be slightly raised as well, as if they were like roads going around the city, so each section could be slightly lower. So I don't have loads of obviously Soulblight / Cursed City stuff painted yet. I've done all of the bad guys from Cursed City, and so we might want to do it, you know, kind of get those guys out, have the the Bloodborne stalking in like the graveyard area. And skeletons and that down here. Zombies up there maybe. And then we got in the middle we've got Radikar. So this might be kind of the real bare bones of my Cursed City Armies on Parade. And obviously it'll change, and obviously things will progress, and I'll decide to do different stuff as I go. And I'll probably try and get some more models painted. There's a big old stack. Whoa, spooky. There's a big old stack of Soul Blight there that we can paint and get it ready. But that kind of seems cool. It's quite narrative. It wouldn't be like a huge army. This would be more about telling a story. And actually, I could, haven't painted any of them, but I could put the heroes down as well. You already seen a party of heroes, and it'd be kind of like a game of Cursed City in action. Well, we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna leave this one here. A lot of work to do, I guess. Got until the end of October, so it doesn't seem too bad. Yeah, let me know if you have any cool ideas. Let me know. Bye!